Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live stream today. We are going to be talking about image scanning and vulnerabilities using Docker CLI. We'll take a quick look at Hub at the end, but kind of wanted to focus on the command line. Some of you might have seen some of this before, but in case you haven't, want to go back over it again today. Unfortunately, Chad is not going to be joining us today. He is on PTO, so he's on vacation. So we'll have him back next week. And yeah, but let's kind of jump right into it. So today, let's awesome. Okay. Hey Eric, how are you doing? Good to see you. Or good to see you in the chat, I guess. Looks like oh man, we got Eric's our security expert. Let's put it that way, or soon to be. I don't know. Is are things public yet, Eric? Anywho, all right. So today I want to focus on scanning with our new integration with Snyk. So the way to get the CLI right now is you need to download Docker Desktop Edge. So you can go to docker.com products desktop. Drop this little drop down here and then choose Edge. And that'll download Desktop Edge either for Mac or Windows. Cancel. If you want a Linux desktop version, go to our roadmap and add it. I've been getting asked a lot about I can't type and talk at the same time. Here's our roadmap. Let's make sure that comes up. Yeah, so come in here. You can actually see it a little bit easier. Well, you can see kind of our Kanban board. But yeah, add in, I think we have a Linux desktop in here somewhere. I won't bore you with trying to find it. But go in here, find it, like it, uptick it. Our PMs watch this all the time. A lot of people at Docker are in here. So anyways, go to products, Docker-desktop, or you can find it from the menu. As soon as that menu goes away, and you find it in desktop, we'll take you right here. Choose the Edge version, right? And then if you currently have Docker installed, desktop installed, and you're wondering what version you have, pull up just go up to your whale icon, either in the top on Mac or down on your system tray on Windows. You can choose anything, dashboard preferences, whatever, but just get desktop running, and then go to Docker Desktop and About. And then you can see all the versions we have that are included in your desktop. So you can see we have Snyk 1.399.1. Another way to check your version is you can do a Docker scan version. So do Docker scan version, just version. You have to spell it correctly. Let me pull that to the top. Oh boy, is it Thursday? Is this week over yet? Okay, cool. So there you go. You'll see the version. We have 0.3.4. You can see the provider is Snyk. Let me pull up the question. See. Okay, cool. So that's how you find out what version you have. You can also look at Docker info. Scroll back up to the top here. You can see all kinds of stuff you have included with Docker. So Hub, App, BuildX, Scan. Yeah, cool. Okay. So the integration right now we're going to talk about is in the CLI. So I'm going to try and look at this from a developer's perspective, right? There's all kinds of different scenarios. Different companies do it different ways, but at Docker, we wanted to be able to move the security scanning a little bit farther left, right? Typically, developers develop their applications and features and fix bugs. push to the Git repository, run builds locally, build images, push images, those type of things. And then scanning is a lot of times is an afterthought, right? It's done a little farther down the CI/CD chain. Hopefully it's before your continuous delivery, right? But your continuous integration, you're doing security scans, those type of things. Also, too, at some larger companies, you'll have a security team that's scanning all your base images. You might have another team that's building base images that all the development teams use and build their applications on top of their base images. And so at Docker and at Snyk, we think it's very important to push that security awareness and vulnerability awareness a little farther left, right? If you start working on it as a first thought, it's a lot easier to find vulnerabilities earlier in your SDLC, software development lifecycle. And so, and having it baked right into your Docker commands that you already know makes it super easy. So let's take a look at the code here real quick. So this is the target tracking system for the Iron Man suit, hypothetically speaking, of course. Look, it's very complex. This is how we do target tracking. Anyway, so what I want to take a look at is the Dockerfile. Just real quickly, it's very, very basic. I have a couple multi-stages in here, a couple stages in here. So we have the base stage that's on Node 12.18.4. We add in some editors, and then we pull in the package JSON stuffs right here. And then we have other stages that kind of build off of the base. So we have a development stage, we have a test stage, and then we have a production stage. So let's go ahead and build the image. I'm going to build it as the production, and then we'll go ahead and scan it. So, this scenario, we've built some new features in the target tracking, and we need to build an image. We want to be able to push that image to be shared out, maybe run in your dev environment so other developers can take a look, your product folks can take a look, your UI folks can take a look, those type of things, testers, all that good stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Docker build. I'm going to tag it as Stark Magic, and let's target tracking, and let's make it 1.0.0.0, and I'll use the current directory for my context. Let's let that build away. Okay, cool. So we just built our image, and here it is, our target tracking. So let's do a basic scan. So the way you do a basic scan is you just do a Docker scan, and you put in the name of the image. I should have made this maybe smaller image name, 0.0. So what we're doing here is Docker's going out to Snyk into their database, pulling down all the information, analyzing your image, and then it's going to dump out a bunch of results for you. Give this a second. Hopefully internet plays nice with me today. Let's see if we have any questions yet. Nope. I gotta make my chat box a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. Ismail, I didn't see you there. How are you? In Copenhagen. How's the weather in Copenhagen today? Here in Texas, I'm in Central Texas, and it's been nice. It's been pretty nice the past couple weeks. Nice and chilly. At least chilly for us. Chilly here in Central Texas is, 80s. I'll take the 80s. I'll take the low 90s right now in this tail end of summer. Is it still summer? Are we in the fall? Someone tell me in the chat if we're in fall yet. Anyways, it's nice here. But, okay, so we just ran a basic scan. And down here at the bottom, it tells you we tested 2 projects, and 2 contain vulnerable paths, right? So let's kind of scroll up a little bit and take a look at the first path, so to speak. And you can see the organization is me, package manager is Debian. Here's our image name. Here's, project name. Here's the image name right here. And so we got a bunch of stuff that's been dumped out. High severities, vulnerabilities, if you're not, a C programmer or very familiar security expert, right, a lot of this isn't going to make sense because you can see you have a lot of vulnerabilities. And then we go, the way it dumps it out is it shows you the highest at the bottom, then medium, and then low. Makes it nice on the command line, so when you're scrolling up, you see the high severities at the bottom. Okay, cool. So we got a bunch of information being dumped out here. You can click on these links to go into Snyk and grab more detail out of it. You can look at the CVEs, all kinds of stuff. So let's go back to the command line. Let me scroll back down. Sorry for the fast scrolling. Okay, so we also have some vulnerabilities in our image. So it looks like Express file upload. So let's kind of narrow our focus down a little bit of where we're going to scan, right? So we just did a general scan, just your basic scan. It's not, I hate to say basic, but we didn't add any flags to it, right? It's not a basic scan. It's an in-depth scan, but there's ways to pass more information into the scanner so we can get a little more detail or focus what we're trying to look for, right? And so dump out the help again. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a file, and that's going to be the Dockerfile. So I'm going to provide the Dockerfile to the scanner. That's going to give it more information that it can use. The more detail you provide to the scanner on what you're doing, what your image looks like, what your base image is, what your Dockerfile is, so it can look in that Dockerfile, see what your run commands are inside of that Dockerfile, and give you a little more detailed scanning output. So let's do that now. So I'm going to do it. Let me do Docker scan. I'm going to give it a -- file, and my Dockerfile is just called Dockerfile, and then give it the name of the image, target tracking 1.0.0, and let's run that. And so again, so what this is going to do, it's going to look at the Docker image also and grab more information out that to be able to give you more detailed analysis of your image. Taking a look at the chat here. No, so there's a question there. Hearing about Snyk for the first time, is it a different firm's product that Docker CLI is integrating with? That's right. So Docker partnered with Snyk. They're a security company, build tools, scanning vulnerability tools, have a database, and we partnered with them, and we've integrated their scanning engine into the Docker CLI and also into Hub. Yeah, so we announced Snyk back at DockerCon. So a couple months ago. The CLI right now, the CLI integration is still on the edge. So like I showed earlier, if you missed the very beginning, download the Edge version of desktop for either Windows or Mac, and the Snyk integration will be there. We also have integration into Hub, which we'll take a look at a little bit later on here at the end. It's raining and a bit cold. You're lucky, Pete. Thank you. Yeah. Copenhagen, though, is rainy and cold a lot, huh? I want to go back. I've only been there once, and it was a long time ago. It was probably 15 years ago. Probably not this year. Hopefully next year I can start traveling. I didn't realize I would miss traveling as much as I have. Anyways, is there a GUI or all command line? Right now it's just command line. And that's usually kind of our path, right? Integrate into the command line, so you can use it with scripting in different tools, and then also typing on the command line, of course, and then progressing more into UI. We also have it in the Hub right now. So you can see scan results in Hub. We'll take a look at that later. I said that 3 times. Sorry. Don't worry, it'll coming. Yeah. You can use Snyk to scan your package JSON. Yeah, we're going to show that today. Yeah, yeah, definitely really cool. Okay, cool. So I just ran that. I first ran the scan without anything, just the image name, right? And now I ran it and gave it the Dockerfile so it can glean a little bit more information out of it. And so what we can see now is, if you remember this from the first scan, we had this information. The base image is now node 12.18.4, right? It knows that now based on the Dockerfile. And then it also comes down here and says the base image, there's 499 vulnerabilities. So, man, that word is hard to say. So we have 10 high, 70 medium, and 419 low. This 10 high, right? That's a lot. But then what the output tells us, which is really cool, is we see, okay, here's some alternative base images you should take a look at. So 14.11.0 Buster Slim has 51 vulnerabilities, 1 high severity, right? So we should probably look at changing our base image and use 14.11.0. Let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll come over to our base image. And wow, that was a weird way to kind of do that, huh? Ay, ay, ay. Live typing is always fun. Let's see if that, yeah. Let me comment this out. Okay, so now we've changed our base image to use the Buster Slim. So of course, now we got to come back and do a Docker build. I'm going to build that again. It's going to pull down the, you can see it's pulling down the new base image, and then it's going to run through everything, right? Hopefully my internet, okay, not too bad. Sometimes live streaming here, my pulling down from hub takes a little bit. Okay, cool. So now we got a new image, still the same tag. So you can see 12 seconds ago. So now let's run with the Dockerfile. Let's run the same scan we just ran, giving it the new base image. Let's see what our results look like. I should put some music in the background, huh? While I'm staring off here reading comments. There, I made my face a little bigger so you can see me. It'll come in a second. All right, so now it's out looking at the vulnerabilities database. Come on, internets, play nice with us, please. Anybody have any questions while we're waiting for this to run? Okay, there we go. Cool. I'm going to scroll back up. So this is cool right here. So it picks up, it saw that we have the new one. According to our scan, you are currently using the most secure version of the selected base image. Okay? Cool. So we kind of took care of our base image. There were still some other, definitely still some vulnerabilities, but we have the most current, right? Now you can go and if you have a team or maybe even your development team, your DevOps team, right, is building base images. So you might not use this Node 14.11.0 Buster Slim. You might be building your own base image, right? And in that case, you can go and then clean up all these out of bounds, these other vulnerabilities, right? These low vulnerabilities, medium and then low. But now I want to kind of move on and target. So that's great. So now we got to correct a good enough base image, right? And really as a developer on a dev team, what I really need to focus on is the vulnerabilities in my code, right? So the whether that's introduced through an NPM package or you know, in my actual code, right? But we're going to focus on what's being introduced by the package manager. And as you can see here, this express file upload 0.0.5 is way out of date, right? So there's a 1.1.10, right? And so you can see there's two vulnerabilities inside of it. To fix that, it is saying you need to go to 1.1.10. So let's go ahead and do that now. And you can see also down here, I didn't go through this, but it's picking up that we're using a package manager, right? So let's go back over to our code. And in our package JSON, you can see we got this 0.0.5. What was it? 1.1.10. 1.1.10. So let's change that. And let's rebuild our image. Let me clear this, and I'm going to remove the node modules. I'm going to npm install locally. The reason I'm doing that is if we look at our Dockerfile, you'll see here that these package JSON files get copied in, right? If you don't get rid of your lock file and you have, based on the sim version, how you're doing the sim versions in your package JSON, your package lock file might not be updated, and you're copying that into the image and it's still keeping a newer version and those type of things. So for demonstration purposes, so we don't get some little harder to track down errors, I'm just going to delete out my node modules, reinstall it locally, and then let's build our image again. I'm going to leave it at 100. So this should take pretty quickly. Okay, cool. So now we have our image. So now we can run the Docker scan again. And we're going to pass in the Dockerfile. Actually, let's do this. Okay. I'm going to add another so I'm going to add another flag to this. Since we already took care of our base image, right? Let's exclude the base image. Let's only look at what we have in our image, what we're adding to the image. So did I copy that? Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm going to do a Docker scan. I'm going to pass in the Dockerfile, and then I'm going to tell it exclude the base image. I don't really care about that right now. I just want you to look at my image that's getting produced. So let's run that. Dave A402, can you build and scan at the same time? No, not right now. They're separate kind of processes. But you could definitely put it into a script, right? Into your CI, or even locally. Okay, there we go. So now the scanner's not taking a look at our base image. It's only looking at the image that we're producing. So let's come back down here. We can see that we no longer have that express issue, that express file upload issue. So 2 projects, and one contained vulnerability paths, right? And so here's where it's testing the image that we just built. Again, it's using npm. 107 dependencies were scanned. Nothing was found. Okay. So now we kind of move up into the Dockerfile and what's going on inside of there, and not just npm. So 4 issues were found. And so if we scroll up, what's really cool, so you'll see we have OS command injection introduced through Vim. And right here is really cool, one of the best things, one of the neatest things I think that helps us find and fix vulnerabilities. And we can see right here, introduced in your Dockerfile by your run, your apt-get. Okay. So we keep scrolling up. We can see Vim, more vulnerabilities. These are low, but they're still vulnerabilities, right? And you kind of look at it and say, well, wait a minute. I'm building a production image. Why do I need Vim in there, right? Who needs a text editor? It's the more that you put into your image, more tools, binaries, configuration, secrets, all that type of stuff you have in an image. And don't put your secrets in images. But anyways, the larger your surface attack area is, right? So if we have a text editor in our production image that we're running in production, right, we don't need that. Our images should be ephemeral, and you should never you should try, I never say never, right? But 99% of the time, you don't want to connect into a certain container and using a Vim inside of their text editor. Just not a good idea. Okay, so let's go take a look at our Dockerfile. And we can see right here, we're adding Vim and Nano. And we're doing that in the base, right? Maybe we should probably just pull this down into your development target, right? Maybe you're running locally, and maybe you do want an editor in your local dev image, right? So that's probably the best place to put that. But let's just take it out completely. Then I take that out, saved it, and then let's do another quick build. That's going to build fast. Okay, and then let's scan again. And again, you can see I'm using the Dockerfile and I'm telling it exclude your base. Yeah, great point, Eric. So I'm sure you guys can read the comment, but Eric is saying his 2 cents. A vulnerability found in a scan might be mitigated or removed later on in your Dockerfile, right? So let's say you're using a base image, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, if this is what you're talking about. All right, so I got a base image and it has a vulnerability in it. In my Dockerfile, I'm removing that vulnerability from my base image, and so it's no longer in the image that I'm produced, right? And so if you were building and it found that vulnerability, and you stopped and said, hey, here's an error, right? Not an error, but here's a vulnerability. Or not even stop, but said, hey, here it is, and then just kept going. The scanner would have to know, oh, but you fixed that earlier, so it's not really vulnerable. It's not really vulnerability anymore, right? If you were building all at once, right? Build, scan, build, scan, build, scan. That's why you kind of want to chain them. Okay, so we've finished. Let me scroll up a little bit. So here we go. So coming down through my Dockerfile, my results, looking at the Dockerfile, tested 86 dependencies for known issues, found 0. Okay, cool. So removing our text editors, got rid of those vulnerabilities. Keeping going down, and no vulnerabilities now in our image that's being produced. So awesome. Yep, cool. Thanks, Eric. So what did I just do? Real quick recap. So let's take a look at the help. So you can see a Docker scan and just an image. That's what we did first. We just said, hey, we built our image first, and then we said, okay, let's just scan it and see, kind of get a starting point. And then we took a look at adding in the Dockerfile. So it adds in a Dockerfile. It gives more information to the scanner to be able to make, to reason about what you have in your image, and therefore produce a better report for you. And then we said, okay, we looked at some issues we had, and then we said, fix the base image. Giving it the Dockerfile gave us the base image, which then gave us some recommendations on what we should use for our base image. So we fixed that. And then we said, okay, we're good with the base image. Let's exclude that, and let's just focus on what we have in our Dockerfile, right? And then we were able to see the run command was introducing some vulnerabilities. We don't need that for a production. Let's take that out. Now we built this last build we did, and last scan. We're looking pretty good, right? And so there's a bunch of other stuff that you can do. One of the coolest things you can do is this little JSON flag here. So you can run a scan. So let's run it. And I'm going to give it a JSON. We'll let that run for a second. But JSON will put it in a nicer format for you. A little hard to read on the screen. If you scroll up, this is going to go on forever, right? Sorry for the fast scrolling and everybody a headache. But you get a bunch of information in here. So you get a description, you get what package manager it is, you get the CVE, you also get the CVSS v3. So I am not a security expert, but what I think I pulled up. Let's jump over to the webs. Okay, so here's what the CVSS is. It's a scoring system, basically, and it looks at a bunch of different attack vectors, and there's a scoring system that goes through, and it'll tell you low, medium, high, across a bunch of different attack vectors, so network, stuff like that. So why is it important? You guys can read this. I pulled this up just to show the amount of info you get out of your scans, right? And so you can use in other tools. So you can pipe this scan results as JSON to JQ, for instance. We're going to do some of that here in a minute. Or into other tools, right? Where now you have a nice JSON structured data that you can save. You can collect some metadata about the security metadata, right? And then you can do interesting things on comparing things. These can be filed into a report for your security team, all kinds of stuff. You get a bunch of information here, times, all kinds of stuff. Okay, cool. So we have a pretty cool little cheat sheet here that kind of does just what I was talking about. So we kind of walk through this. One of the first things I totally forgot at the beginning because I'm already logged in. But so there's a Docker scan login, right? So -- login. So this will authenticate you with Snyk. If you don't have an account, you can get a free account. Let's just do it now. Docker scan login. So it's going to dump out this URL for me. Let me copy that, and we'll come back over to the interwebs. Okay, so you'll end up on this website, and you'll say, okay, yep, go ahead and authenticate. I'm already authenticated. Let me show you in a private browsing window. So right here, you can choose your Docker ID. Go ahead and log in with your Docker ID. And now you have up to 200 scans. I believe it's a month. As before, I think you only get 10 scans when you're just anonymous and you're not logged in. So go ahead and take your Docker ID, create a logging into Snyk with your Docker ID gives you 200 scans. So that's what this will do. I'm going to go ahead and kill that. Okay, cool. No, right now, Robert, Snyk works with just the Docker command, the CLI command. It's built into your Docker command. Let me know if that's what you're asking. You can't do docker-compose scan, like docker-compose scan. We are moving. We're focusing on the one CLI right now. So for Docker, right, Docker space scan, and also a lot of the compose features and functionality are moving into Docker. So, okay, cool. So I wanted to show you. So the reason I bring up this cheat sheet, it has some really cool stuff in it. You can gives you some examples of your output data. So remember we looked at. I think I actually have. Did I save? I didn't save that. Let's do JSON.json. Let's do that and let that run. But let me scroll up. Oh, I hit the control key. Anyways, I was going to show the JSON. Well, okay, there we go. So let's open this up. Hello, Adrian. If I think a project in GitHub with Snyk and it contains a Dockerfile, will Snyk scan the file? It will locally if you're, but we're not hooked up into GitHub. So if you have a Dockerfile in GitHub, github.com, I think maybe you're talking about. No, it won't. You either need to scan it locally or you need to push your image up into Hub and have a pro or team account. Okay, cool. So here's the JSON. I just want to pull it up again, but so you can use in JQ and other tools, right? You can target all these different properties and pull out only what you need and kind of filter out your results. So that's kind of what we're going to look at here now. So I'm actually going to run. Let's do a Docker build. And I'm going to call it bad image. And I'm going to run that low. Let's go back to our Dockerfile. Oop. Let's use this base image that has vulnerabilities in it. Let's build the bad image. And then let's do a Docker scan on bad image. Let's pull that up there. And I'm just going to do a basic scan, and I'm going to put that into results.json. The reason I'm doing that is I want to put kind of all the back in some of the vulnerabilities we had, just do a basic scan to get some high vulnerabilities. So when we run these JQ queries and filtering, we'll get better results. We cleaned up our image, so now if we're kind of if we're looking for high severities and stuff, we're not going to find any. So I want to kind of add back some vulnerabilities. And I'm going to dump it into the results.json file so we can analyze just that JSON file instead of running the scan over and over. Me live streaming during school hours and it's a lunchtime here too, so I'm wondering if one of my kids might be playing video games. Anyways, okay. So let's cat our results JSON into, and we're gonna run some JQ commands here, right? So let's look for just showing me, as it says here, the high severity vulnerabilities. Right. Now again, real quick, you might be wondering why am I catting the results JSON out? We can do a Docker scan again and then cat those results out into JQ as it kind of has here in our cheat sheet. You know, for time purposes here, I saved those results again, and we're just gonna pipe those into why. Oh, come on, play nice with me. Why you run it twice, Peter? Ah, it's not JSON. That's why. Someone probably just. No, they're not. They're well, maybe they might be playing Minecraft. So we'll check that up to an educational game. It can be. I don't think they play it as educational though. But okay, so I didn't. Let me pull this to the top. I didn't add the JSON flag, so that's why the jQuery was choking. Give this a minute. What else could I talk about? Oh, we can go look at Hub. Why don't we go ahead and push the image into Hub while this is scanning and come back. Let me make this nice and big for folks. Okay, cool. So, man, I cannot type today, huh? Okay, so let's push this image up in the Hub. So Docker push. Hopefully I'm logged in. Yes, this is coffee. Home brewed, dark roast, Starbucks. Don't judge me. If you got any coffee, suggestions out there, please put them in. Put them into the chat. We'd love to hear it. Okay, cool. So we push that up. Let's go over to Hub, and we're going to Hub. I'm already logged in, of course, and let's come into my Stark Magic. And which one do we put? Yep, target tracking. Okay, so now we're in Hub, and you can see right here, vulnerability scanning is disabled, so we can enable that. Oh, I gotta. Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay, we gotta that account, that test account that I have. I don't want to upgrade that one yet. So, anyways, let's tag this image. So we'll tag Stark Magic targeting. Is it target? Target tracking. And 1.0, and let's go Stark. I think I called it tech. Let's see what org it is. goes. Stark Technologies. Someone last week, was it last week or I was live streaming on Twitch or something. Anyways, so one of you guys out there on the internet's commented and said, "Hey, called me Tony Snark," which I enjoyed. All right, Stark Technologies, and we'll call it target tracking, and we'll do version.0.0. So let's tag that, and then let's push that. Yeah, that's right. Eric's right. You got to get the Adrian. You got to get the Edge version of desktop. So go to docker.com/products/desktop. Docker desktop. Let me put that in here. Once you go in there, and then make sure you do the drop down. If you just hit this button, you're going to get the stable. Hit the drop down and get the Edge version either for Windows or for Mac. And that has the CLI in it. Okay, cool. We just pushed that up. And let's refresh, and we'll take a look at our repositories. There's our target tracking. Okay, so let's enable here. Let me jump back real quick. So here in Hub, I logged in. I'm in my organization, so it's Stark Technologies, and then the image target tracking. And then right down here, you see vulnerability scanning is disabled. So let's click on enable, and then I'm going to choose enable image scanning. Okay. And then we can come back to general. That's gonna run for a bit. Takes a little bit to run, but we can look at our tags. And we can come now over into the vulnerabilities. We might have to push it again. Let's tag it again as 1. And come back to, let's go into our tags, 101. And give it a minute. It takes a bit, so it takes a minute or two. All right, so let's cat out our results, JSON. All right, whoa, that's a lot of JSON. Okay, cool. So jumping back here. So we just dumped out all of our JSON. I saved it into a file. So now we can run some analysis on top of it. So I'm just gonna look for, let me put it in here and I'll show you. So I'm gonna cat to the results, JSON into jQuery. And you see I'm gonna grab all the vulnerabilities as an array and then select anything that has a high severity and then dump that out for me. So there we go. There's all my high severities. So severity high, severity with critical is high, your CVSS info. Let's see. And then you can see the references. Debian bug report, security tracker, OSS security advisor. And then you can actually go and look at these documents, right, and learn more about it. What else I want to show in here? And then it'll tell me from, here's my bad image, latest, and then for mount is no bueno. It's not any good. Okay, cool. So that prints out all of our high severity. Here's the one was talking about earlier. Let's see if this format's good on the screen. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully it'll be okay. So kind of same thing. We're looking at all the vulnerabilities. Then we're going to select the CVSS v3 where it contains AVN. N is for the network. And then also select severity high. It's probably because I copied and pasted this. Why do you want to work for me? If anybody sees that, give me a shout. Where's the install for Linux? You can find it on that same page. Go to the drop down and then go view Linux engine. And then you can get the different versions you want in here. And then you can also go into docs. And I believe in here, so let me go a little bit slower. So go to docs.docker.com, go download and install, and then look at Docker for Linux. And this is how you can get it installed. You can compile all those type of things. And then let's see, Docker scan Linux. Well, I don't want to take time looking for it now. It is on. There's directions on how to get the scan plugin installed for Linux in Docs. If we have some time at the end, I'll go dig that up for you. Since we're sitting here on the web page, let's see if our scan worked. Okay, cool. So here we are in Hub. Let me jump back. So I pushed this image up to Hub. I enabled scanning for it, and then gave it a couple minutes. Came around and messed up a JQ filter query, and then coming back here. Now we can see our vulnerabilities right here in Hub. This is awesome for teams, right? So I can push up an image. I can let Hub scan it. It's using the same scanners you're using in the CLI, and you get all your details right here in Hub. So if I come over into the details, we have a list of high severity. If you see a little drop down here, if you drop that down, it'll give you more details and the dependencies. So yeah, so you can dig through this. You can then also click on this little button to navigate you into Snyk's database. You can then read everything you need about it right here in Snyk, right? So you can see the attack vectors, the complexities, the CVSS score to 8.1. Cool. So this is very, very helpful in my opinion. Not only being a Docker employee, but just in general, right? You one central location for your image where the whole team can see your scans. Scan it locally, put it into your inner loop is what we call it at Docker, right? And other folks call it the same thing. But as you're developing, right, you're writing code, you're building, you're testing, you're building then you're going to build your image, run your scans on it locally, clean up everything you can. And then, of course, then checking your Docker files into the repo so everybody shares those fixes. And then when you push your images, when you have scanning enabled, it will also scan it up in Hub, and you can also see your results on a dashboard, right? And there's more features coming in Hub to help mitigate and find and view vulnerabilities. So, okay. I do not know what's wrong with my Is Snyk scanning free for commercial projects? It is free right now on the command line. So for the CLI, you get 10 scans per month if you're anonymous. If you log in, if you do the Docker scan -- login, that will log you into Snyk, and it'll authenticate your machine, and you can use your Docker ID. You don't have to go and set up a separate Snyk account. You can use your Docker ID, SSO, and that'll give you up to 200 scans a month. In Hub, let me close that out. Let me go into the org that I haven't upgraded yet, and go into billing. And let me change my plan. And I'm doing all that just so I can go to the pricing. I should have just gone to the pricing. Anyways, so if you scroll down, so to get scanning in Hub, it's available in the Pro and Team plans. And see if I can find it. Vulnerability scanning, of course. So right now, this first column is your free account, right? And that's where I was talking about the 10. So you get 10 monthly scans locally, right? Without authenticating with Snyk. If you authenticate with Snyk, that'll bump you up a little bit. And that's right here, so you get 200. And you do not get any scans in Hub. But once you go to the Pro, you get 10 locally, 200, of course, if you log in with Snyk, and then 300 on Hub. And then here's for Team, right? You get unlimited with Team. So, my opinion, our Team plans are the value you get just with the scanning vulnerability scannings, right, is worth the $7 a month per member. Awesome. Let's see here. Any plans to integrate with other repos? Nexus, for example. We do have plans to the way we've architected the system, and I think we wrote a blog post on this a while ago. Chris, one of our engineer managers, wrote a blog post on the architecture of our CLI, and they kind of refactored it a little bit to be able to make context, so Docker context, a little bit easier to point the CLI to different contexts. I'll use it as context. It's basically a runtime, right? So you have AWS and Azure are the current runtimes we use with context, and your local context to a Docker engine. And then also, along with some of that work, was the ability to then add features in a little bit easier. So yes, so long way to answer your question. There's plans. If you, I'm not sure about Nexus, but go to the roadmap. I know I sound like a broken record sometimes on the live stream, but go to the roadmap and put in either search in there and look to see what other repos we have, other scanners that we have planned, those type of things. If you want to see one, then by all means add a not a ticket, but add a feature into the roadmap. Socialize it out on Twitter so you can get some likes. Tag us so we see it. Just Docker's our Twitter handle. Tag me if you like. And we'll take a look at it. But yeah, the plan is to expand out and to give developers the tools that they need on their local development machine. Okay, we're about at time. I really appreciate everybody showing up. Thank you, Eric, for your input. It's good to see you, man. Looking forward to seeing you more. I gotta make a trip. We have a Dallas meetup group, a Docker meetup in Dallas that's pretty active. I think they might be starting back up. Anyways, soon as maybe towards the end of the year, I'd love to travel up there. Maybe we can grab a beer or a whiskey or something. But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Go sign up for a free Hub account. Download the Edge, and that'll give you the scanning in locally in your CLI on your local development machine. Start scanning your images, finding vulnerabilities. Give us feedback, please. If you can't think of the best place to give feedback is on the roadmap. If you can't remember, you can always tweet at me, as the kids say, and I'll get you taken care of. Also, to join our community Slack. There's a lot of super smart folks in there. And I think it's just community. We'll see if we get a 404. No. Okay, cool. Hit this little button here. Join our Slack. That's going to be my Slack. But join our community Slack and ask questions in there. DM me, please. I would love to help everybody as much as I possibly can. But it's really, really hard to help you troubleshoot your very in-detailed issue you're having using Docker locally, right? And the amount of time, to help you invest of doing some deep dive troubleshooting is really hard on Slack. So if you kind of ask me some very detailed questions or very general, I would prefer very, very detailed questions, right? Like, hey, Peter, I'm having this problem. I've tried this, I've thought about this, right? And please try and do your work and your research as much as possible. And then if you do DM me with a question, make it as specific as possible. That's not because I'm trying to be a jerk or don't want to help. I just get a lot. I get a lot of asks. And the more narrowed they are and the finer point your question is, I'm able to answer it quicker. So it's really for me to help as many people as possibly can. But it's not for consulting, right? Where I can spend 2 or 3 hours with you fixing or helping you fix what you're working on. Sorry about that. I really, really would love to. There's just not enough time and just one of me. So I hope you understand. I love all of you out there. Please reach out. Even if you just want to say hello, that's awesome. But, Poland. I'd love to come to Poland, Adrian. Man, I would love to. We have tons and tons of Docker users in Poland for 100%. Yeah, I might take you up on that. What would be what would be the best drink in Poland to have when I come visit? It's not thinking Germany is beer. Moscow would be vodka. I'm trying to think of Poland. What would I drink in Poland? It's gonna be a crazy. I know there's a delay here, so I'm gonna wait till you give me an answer. But anyways, yep. Yes, Eric, for sure. Thank you. Good seeing you. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much. Again, reach out, download the Edge version to get the CLI that we just talked about. All right, everybody, have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you again next Thursday. Show up. That is correct, sir. It is always beer. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great weekend.